if you've given 110% at the end of the day, you're going to get that and more in return from your client. And your client will see that. People can see realness and genuineness.
Welcome back to the Full Out Real Estate Agent. Today, we are speaking with Cathy and Tanya Rocca. They built the Rocca Sisters Team into a real estate powerhouse. So they sold over $3 billion in real estate. They're part of the top 10 nationwide for Royal LePage. And they served last year alone almost 500 families while donating through their career over 15,000 hours to their community. Cathy and Tanya, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us.
Well, why don't we go back to the origin story, guys, and share a little bit about how you guys got into real estate. You know, if you're in the Burlington and surrounding area, they know, people know who you are there, right? So you're a real powerhouse in that area, but I think a lot of people don't know how everything started. So maybe you guys could share a little bit of your origin story.
Big sister.
Go ahead, Cathy.
I'll let little sister go first. That's okay.
We normally we either fight over talking or okay. So, well, our family roots are deeply embedded in real estate. Our dad immigrated from Italy and was a commercial and residential developer. Developed most of the eastern provinces into the eastern states and then into Ontario. So he, along with our older brother, has been in real estate over 30 years, one of the top agents in the Toronto area. It was just an inevitable organic move for Cathy and I. Our dad always told us, you know, get your business experience, which we did. We had previous businesses and then, you know, get out there and get into the real estate game. So that's how we kind of came about.
What businesses were you guys in before real estate?
I'll cut in here, Tanya. Yep. We're playing very politely today. So I went to McMaster for my commerce degree, and I was always passionate from the time I was a little girl. I was always playing store and not playing house, but playing store, and always wanting to be entrepreneurial and have my own business. So I opened up a franchise in my third year of university. It was a home decor and giftware franchise. And I started that out. It was from the Maritimes originally, and I opened the second one in Ontario. It was called the English Butler, actually. And I opened that in my third year university, and then I went on to open two more franchises, Canadian franchises, and was in the retail business for about 13 years in home decor and staging, helping people prepare their homes for sale. And really, it just was kind of inevitable because we grew up, like Tanya said, we grew up in real estate. But when you breathe and eat and hear real estate at the dinner table all the time, your dad, your brother, sometimes you think, I just want to take a different path. So the retail side was just very passionate about interior design and that. So that's the side I took. But then after a while, I noticed the business was just the giftware and home decor business was changing quite a bit in the Canadian landscape. So I started thinking, you know what, I'm going to sell the stores. I'm going to, maybe go into real estate. And so, Tanya and I started talking at the same time. She was in the restaurant business and she was feeling the same, that I wanted a change. She wanted a change. So we talked to the boys and, we said, I think we want to go out on our own and do our own thing, just the sisters, and just kind of keep it just have fun. Like I sold my stores, she got out of her business. We just wanted to keep it fun. We just wanted to go out. We wanted to stage. We wanted to serve clients, not anything crazy. And then it got crazy. In the first year, it got crazy really, really fast. So we just, sisters, best friends, partners, we went out. We just had fun. That's what we did. We staged. We did everything. We worked with buyers. We worked with sellers. We did tons of open houses. We did everything. We loved it. Loved it.
So you guys came from two complementary businesses, so home decor and then the restaurant business from a customer service side. What skill sets do you guys complement each other? Like, is one more of a visionary and one's more the integrator or operations, or do you guys pretty much share your skill sets that you guys have?
We're very similar, yet we have very complementary.
Okay. tell us about
I mean,
tell
you
us
can
about
answer
that.
this, Mark. No, Cathy, go ahead.
People, like when you're partners, especially when you're sisters, is it's one thing to be able to work with family, but to be able to work with family over a sustained period of time,
Yeah.
there needs to be, we'll say, clear lanes on who owns what. Because what happens is you start to cross lines, and especially if you don't have we'll say a great relationship, it's easy to butt heads, especially not when everything is going well, but when things aren't going well,
Hmm.
right? And so I'm
Everything's
just
good till
curious
it's not.
how you guys had shared that, we'll say, that push and pull relationship. You guys are coming in as partners, sisters, and friends. I love that, coming into it with fun. But you know how it is when you start. There are some days that just aren't fun. So I'm curious on how you guys handled that dynamic.
I would say, we grew up in a real estate business, a family business. So it was already really rooted in us that whatever happens, with work, it's separate than, your personal relationship. Although I think Tanya and I share a bond that's not a common bond in a lot of families, in that we really are best friends. Like, we live on the same street. All of our kids are 10 months apart. They go 8, 9, 10, and 11. So, we even planned having our kids. The Lord helped us, but we did a great job on planning that. But I mean, so I think we have a special bond that, you know, that's enrooted there. But I also think that the both of us, our personalities are quite similar in terms of what our core values and our ethics are. We're very, very aligned on that. There's no room for movement on that. And the both of us are 110% aligned with that. And that just comes from the family that we were brought up in. And really, we thank our parents for that, because, we had I think, the best parents in the world. Um, so, and a really great foundation of a great family childhood, right? So, but I think that naturally I gravitate more to the operational side and the business side, and I think I kind of am a little slower in making my decisions. I think about things, come up with ideas and think about it, whereas Tanya is a serious driver to just make things happen. Like, nothing gets stuck. So maybe I come up with an idea, or she comes up with the idea, because we're both great idea people. But whatever we come up with, if it takes me too long, she's going to get her done. Like, she just gets it done, right? Like, and she can get, and I admire her like I admire no one in the world, in terms of what she can achieve. And it just keeps on, take more and take more and take more, right? And then, along the way, if any, when we're um, putting these systems in place, whatever it might be, doing events, whatever it is, whatever little pieces that might fall along the way, then I'm there to pick them up, type of thing, right? So we definitely complement one another very well. And even when there are disagreements, which we disagree, I mean, we're both very feisty, and we both are, we're Irish Italian, we're very strong personalities. We don't back down easily whatsoever. But we definitely find a common ground, and we definitely respect one another at the end of the day, that we just, will agree to disagree, type of thing, if there's something. And it just works. It just works.
Yeah, that's great. So, yeah, as you guys know, I work with three of my brothers as well. And so, very similar. I mean, your story, I mean, even the Irish Italian, I have Maltese in me as well, but that background, very, very much aligned. And, I think getting along with the brothers, one of the key things that I found was really good, and you guys probably do this as well, is if there's something in the gray area, to just be generous in the gray. And so that's something that we've always done. And what happens, I found, is, if I'm generous on one, I'm just take it. Then they come back and say, well, no, you just take it. And then vice versa down the road, they say, oh no, it's all good. And then I'm like, no, take it. And then you're going back and forth the other way. And I think with any sort of partnerships, I think a lot of people can learn from that kind of mindset. Is if you're always trying to keep everything to yourself, your hands clenched, which means that you can't accept. Right. And so if you're more of a giver in the gray, I think that it'll come back to you even more. And it actually is a solid foundation for a really good relationship and partnership.
It's interesting because we actually have the terminology in our office, just even overall with the operations, about staying in your own lane. And I think Cathy and I are really clear on sort of the areas that we take more of a lead on. But it's funny when you allude to the gray, because we both have areas that we gravitate to, or maybe that we excel in,
Mm,
but we both have the ability to cross over as well. And it's something that we do. And I
mm,
think over time we've just learned where it's a good thing. You know what I mean? Like you said, like there's gray, and let the gray happen. And I think that's where we really complement each other really well, is just knowing where we actually still need each other, and where we we may take a lead or stay in a lane, but where we also really lap over as well too.
yeah. And it's very clear to me that you guys honor each other and respect each other. And I think that's another big one as well in a partnership, is when one person starts to feel a little bit superior, the other one starts to feel it. And then it's just, sometimes you don't even need to say anything. People feel it. And then, that slowly sours over time. But when you have like a high degree of respect for the other person, and that's earned as well, because you guys are both hustlers. You guys both work hard, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that you guys, you got to earn that respect amongst, partners. But you guys obviously saw that growing up with each other. Yeah, I can work with this. There are some siblings, they're like, I can never work, and they know that up front. But I think growing up, you get a pretty good sense of, who the sibling is that you're going into partnership, right? So curious to know, what major traits did you guys pull out of your upbringing that you believe were foundational pillars to have a strong start in real estate?
Well, there's a couple of things that come to mind. One, uh, is being humble, um, meaning that I think when people get in real estate, they often think about, you know, who they are and what they are, and and they spend a lot of time trying to prove that to the seller or the buyer, and they focus on them so much, right? It's all about them. And we grew up in a household where they always taught us to focus on what you can give, like, and who you're giving to. So it's not about you. It's not the Rocca Sisters show. It's whoever we're sitting in front of. It's their show, right? It's about, we're only guiding them. We're only there, and it's your honor to be there. I'm sure Cathy will talk about this because she's a huge integrity person. But it's your honor to be there, and it's not about you. It's about them. So that's a huge thing. Um, and I would say the other thing is, our dad was an immigrant, and he was deeply appreciative for the opportunity that our country afforded him. But just appreciative, and he was very entrepreneurial. He was a visionary. My sister is a lot like my dad. And he was very much, again, about serving people and about giving back to people. So all of us, our brother included, like, it was always innately very much instilled in us that it's about them and what can you do for them. And through giving, that starts the receiving process, really. And that's where, and receiving, really is about also, like, not about receiving necessarily always business wise, but receiving, like, you get what you need out of life through giving of yourself. And it was two very, and I would say that, like, they were, those things were role modeled for us in the way that they were instilled in us. And those were two huge things, which I think that in any sort of service business, whether it was our restaurant or retail, real estate, they're all core to the core.
Yeah, that's great insight. Cathy, was there anything you wanted to
I
add to
was,
that? It
I
was
think
well
that's
said.
very, very well said. Um, I think, just to speak to the integrity part, I would say that Tanya and I and we really, coach and attract like people in terms of do what you say you're going to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just do what you say you're going to do. And we all make mistakes. Things happen. We're human. There's forgiveness, but owe up to it and just and make it better, right? Like just um if you say you're going to do something, follow through. If you mess up and you make a mistake, just come good for it. And next time, know never to make that mistake again. And clients, there's forgiveness. People are
Mm-hmm.
people are unbelievable. They are most of the people out there are pretty beautiful people
Mm-hmm.
that forgive, that want to they hire you, they want you to excel, they want you to do, they've given you this incredible opportunity, like incredible opportunity, and they know you're real and you're human. So I think it's just about, like Tanya said, being humble, being real, and doing everything in your might to give them everything you have. If you've given 110% at the end of the day, and you've given it, you're going to get that and more in return from your client, and your client will see that. People can see realness and genuineness, and they respect that. And in this business, it's so critical. And it's the same thing with when I talk about integrity, we're an extension to our client. So don't tell a client what you think they might want to hear or what you think is the best thing for them. You provide them with all the intel, you provide them with whatever experience and expertise, and then they're going to be able to make the best decision, because empower them empower them to help them along their journey so that they see the light, right? Don't think that don't put your beliefs on them, right?
Yeah, that's really good. Guide them, give them the market expertise, and let them decide. Yeah, that's really good.
If you're
Couple.
doing your job, it'll become very clear to them when you guide them, that
Mm-hmm.
they'll see the light before you have to put the light in front of them.
Yeah, no, and that's where I think any great guide, it's like you can guide them without saying do this or do that. You can basically give the information where they come to their own conclusion that this is the right move. And that's actually the best thing, because if it comes across as in like they're making their own decision, then everybody wants to be able to make their own decisions and not be told what to do. Right. So that's really good. So a couple of things here. Number one, you had said like your parents, they role modeled that. And I think that you attract the type of clients that you are. And so if you role model, I think being honorable, people are attracted to you that are honorable as well. And so it's the same as a team leader now, that you probably attract other agents that are, humble, because you guys are modeling that behavior as well. So I think that that's a really big one and it's the same with our kids, right? You can tell them till you're blue in the face, especially when they become teenagers. Do this, don't do this. But bottom line is they're going to watch what you do and then mimic that, right? Especially when they become teenagers. And then the other one is in regards to like people are honorable at their core in general. And I really believe that. And so Horst Schulze, so he's a guy that pretty much started the Ritz. He said that in every service, there's three parts of it. I don't know if you guys have heard this, but there's defect free. So whether the service or product is defect free, the other one is timely. People don't want to wait too long, right?
Mhm.
And then the last one is friendly service. And what was interesting, he said you can get the first two, one of the two, you can get the first two wrong, but you can't get the third one wrong, because if you get the third one right and the first two wrong, the third one will make up for the first two, but the first two won't make up for the third one. And so it's interesting is that if you're going to pick one of those three, make sure that you have a friendly service. Whereas if you mess up, you can fix the problem. And in general, people are pretty forgiving. But
Yeah.
even if you deliver timely, service and a defect-free experience, if you're not friendly about it, then you just can't make up for that with, great products and services. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yes.
It's so
100%.
much. It's the reason why there's some crazy statistics in our business, right? About how you can have the most satisfactory experience, but you don't go back and use the same realtor again because it wasn't, it didn't exceed your expectations in the sense that there wasn't. I think the two words that are huge that were used were genuine and believe, and those are two huge things. Like if you don't genuinely believe in what you're doing and who you're serving and what you're providing them, that all, like, those are the feelings that people feel. And it's that feeling that can't be replaced. Like, that's not replaceable. So you can go through and you can actually have a perfect experience, but maybe they wouldn't think to go back to you, because there's no real feel to it. Whereas you can have an experience that's maybe flawed, but the reality is through the flaw, it built character.
Yeah.
In the way that you handled it, right? And the way that you handled it built character within your relationship, and those people become so loyal to you. They put their name to you.
Yeah, because they know if something's going to go sideways, you're going to be there for them, right?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. If you were to choose between a perfect, seamless service, which I know this is both of our goals, right? Everything's got to be perfect. And compared to, you're going along and then there's a blip along the way. The blip, actually, if you not only fix it, but you go the extra mile and do something above and beyond to make it right and beyond.
Yeah.
And you communicate with them excellent all the way along the way. It's interesting that they, you could argue the fact that second scenario might even be better if you handle it really well and make it up, because
Absolutely.
it deepens a relationship, as you mentioned there, Tanya.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. That's really good. So, okay. When you guys started, what do you think that was driving you guys to be successful? Because it sounds like you had a really great start. So the first question is, what was driving you to be successful other than your background? Because I know you were brought up in a very successful home, right? What do you think that was your driver? And then what did you guys do to actually get business when you first started?
I would say what drove us was I honestly think that Tanya and I have an innate passion to serve clients and make them happy, right? Like it's even at and probably to our detriment, because even at this, at our level, we're very hands-on in the client journey. We are very passionate about, the first point of contact being one of the Rocca sisters. They call for our team. We want to thank them for calling us. We want to make sure they've enjoyed the journey along the way. So I think we're just a service. We just love servicing our clients and making them happy. And I think that it kind of becomes, when you get that gratification from making people happy and they see that, we would do anything. Like, we never judged anything or anything. Like, we did all the staging. We set the homes up. I remember us sweating like crazy going in and out of homes, whatever we needed to make it look great, we did it. And it was just about making them happy and serving them and getting them the best results. And so nothing was ever too good for us, right? We're just workabees. And we never thought about, I'd say the biggest thing is that it's not about, what's in it for us. It was what's in it for the client, right? That's just how we thought. And honestly, I think when you have that mentality, you can't, it just people will just attract to you because they know that you have the right intention. It all comes down to intention. Like, you can have all the skill set in the world, right? But if you don't have intention, you really don't have anything, really, in the sales business, right?
People will pick up on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I think you also have to have the business sense to know when you have to, you know, I'll never forget our broker called us into the office and said, you ladies, you know, you need to get someone to help you on the administration. And you know, I said, first thing I said is I just came from a retail business where I had 60 employees. I'm not interested. I don't want to have anybody. Like, I don't, we're doing this ourselves. We got in this for fun. We're doing this. We love it. We love working together. We're having fun. We're not getting anyone. And then, you know, we started to realize, you know, we're working 14, 15-hour days. We're like, okay, you know what? Our husbands are like, hey, who are we? You know, type of thing. So, and then we started realizing we have to build a little bit. So we got our first administration, you know, executive assistant, and then, you know, just kept on building it then. So I think we did have a strong enough business sense to know this is how we need to scale and build the business so that we could still keep the integrity of what was so important to us at the core with how our clients were to be treated, right? And how our clients were to be served, right? That was the experience and the journey is what we're so passionate about with our clients. And not just from inception and not just till they close, but beyond that. Beyond that, in terms of we're there to serve them forever. Like, that's just, you know, that's what we're so passionate about.
That's great. Tanya, did you want to add anything, or did Cathy nail it?
Oh, she nailed it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. So now when you started in regards to that's a powerful foundation to start with. And then, so now you started, you have this like energy coming, you know, we have, you know, from a fun standpoint, we're going to have some fun doing this, and I'm not going to have any employees. So before you got to the point of hiring somebody, what did you do to actually generate business?
Oh, what didn't we do? I think, you know, when we started, it was like, you know, that word believe keeps coming up, right? It's like, we knew what we had to do. We just had to believe we could do it. And we were like, okay, what are we going to do to make this happen? We had goals. We were like, goals, right? You have to have goals, but then like, what are goals without the actions to get to the goals, right? Because the reality is you're not going to, you can put your goals up, and, you know, there's some theory in staring at your goal every day, but you need to actually take some action that's going to get you to achieve those goals. So we had goals, and we did everything. Like, you know, of course we both had very large networks, but we always say to people, you know, your network is one thing, right? Your sphere of influence. You just, as always, keep those people close and take care of them. And one day, if given the opportunity, you can take care of them. But the reality is we knew that we had to go out and farm business. And we did it any way we had to. The phone, door knocking, private for sales were big. We created our own busy. We had schedules. We were committed. We had consistency. And we believed in what we were doing and what we were delivering to the core. Because like you said, if you don't believe it, people know. It's the same thing with our team. Now that we have a team, we tell them. And it's the same thing when we're, you know, bringing someone onto our team. We know if their intention, Cathy's word, intention, their intention is to serve, or their intention is to make a lot of money. Of course, we all need to take care of our families, and we would like to live a good life. But your intention is what's going to drive your activity every day. That's going to help you meet your goals. It's your why, right? So knowing that very clearly.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
And I think that's really well said, Tanya. I would say the only thing I would add is that whatever it was that, and like Tanya's 100% bang on in terms of saying that we just did whatever it took. But as an example, you know, if we did, you know, and I still remember our first open house that we did, right? Like we did it together, and whatever we do, we would try to provide an experience that was just not the best, but remarkable. So we would try to think outside of the box with everything we do and think about, okay, how can we make this open house more fun and memorable, and just make it something that stands out in the consumers, like in everyone that came through, make it a good experience for them. Right? Like, you know, so everything we did, we were always trying to think, how can we make this a good experience? Right? Like, how can we, and you know, our dad always said, be different. You know, you don't have to be like everyone else. Be different, but be yourselves. Be yourself. Don't try to be like, just be what's genuine to the two of you. And then as well, like, so we weren't afraid to stand out, right? So that's why we were like, okay, we want we want people to know family's important to us. Like, pink is important to us. Pink was very important to Tanya, right? So it's like, it was like, so
So
like
non-negotiable.
things that were, and it doesn't matter. Some people were like, oh, well, maybe men won't like pink. Well, that's okay. I'm sure they will. Like, right. You know what? And maybe we'll get them to start wearing pink, like, because maybe they'll like the Rocca sisters enough that they'll start wearing pink. But we're being ourselves, and we're delivering a fun experience along the way.
Yeah, that's really good. So when a seller's, say, bringing you in to an appointment and they're interviewing you and, different agents out there, what do you think is your biggest differentiator? If you were to summarize it, what would you guys say that you do really well, that you've worked on? And generally differentiators is not just something you just pick up and decide one day I'm going to do. It is or it isn't in general, I've found. But what do you think that is for you, for that seller? If you were to summarize that differentiating factor, or maybe it's a service deliverable or the way that you do it.
I would say that beyond, and kind of just keeping, experience, and because we're at a point in our career now where, the experience is invaluable in terms of, what we can provide, through our knowledge and just our time in the field, and knowing our market and being so passionate about that. So above and beyond all of that, um, I would say it's just the way we are genuinely, in terms of being very thankful to be brought into their home. We see everything as an opportunity. We're truly honored that they thought of us. And it, I think that we give them 110%. Whatever they need, we listen. We listen to what they need. What are they scared about? What are they uncomfortable about? What is, what's bothering them about the process, because this is their time. Like Tanya said from the beginning, this is their time. They need to we're there to help them feel comfortable.
Yeah.
I think when you spend time with us and with our team, you see, and I remember when Cathy and I first started and we would win business and they'd say, you were genuine. Like, we felt comfortable with you. And they always said they thought we had the best intention. And I think that when people, they can tell when you really care and when you're present, right? Like, I always relate stuff back to the restaurant. Like, when you go to the restaurant and your server's serving you, but they're not really at the table. It's the same thing as when you go to someone's home and you're in their home. And are you there because you're about them and what's going on? Or are you thinking about the offer over here, or your family over here, or am I going to get this listing because I want a deal? They can tell if you're there and really there for them.
Yeah, that's really good. So Cathy, Tanya, that Cathy came over around New Year's, and we had a chat with, Peter and Cathy, and that was one of the things after leaving. And we've hung out in previous chairman retreats and whatnot, and that's been one of the things always that I recognize about you guys, is the fact that there's like a deep degree of like genuine empathy and understanding, and like genuine, I want to know more about you and how you're doing. And so how you're interacting with my mom, actually, that was really good to see. But I would say that there's a couple things that when I look at you guys, I mean, your presentation and your marketing is really tight. And so that's something with your branding overall. I think you've done a really great job at that. Like, so pink is one thing, but how you've been able to tie it all together. But your home decor, and then the restaurant business in regards to the service side of it, I think is something that you guys have innately have brought through in your service delivery. that really makes you guys stand out. And then, yeah, the experience side in regards to, the communication and overall from start to finish, making it a great experience in that client, we'll say end to end journey. That's something through our conversations that's come out. And so I think that's something you guys do really well. And it's not even that something that you guys really try to do. I think it's just like innate in you. And that's what makes it genuine on that end. Now, in regards to the branding side of it, did you guys have any sort of, some agents will look at you and go like, oh, I'm not a marketing person. Did you guys have any sort of like tangible branding or marketing courses that you took, or is it just something you kind of figured out as you went along?
I had marketing in school that I went, like part of I did hospitality, and
Okay. Yeah.
I took quite a bit of marketing background, and I worked quite a bit in marketing. But it's funny that you say that, Cathy, and I'll let you speak to this. But it's funny, we say to our team all the time, Cathy and I were talking about this morning. We always say that you may not be schooled in marketing, you may not have a business background, but if you're a salesperson, you better learn to be a marketing expert, because sales and marketing go hand in hand. So you have to know marketing. You can't, and we have a marketing department at our office, but we tell our sales team, hey, how the property presents also very much is reflective. It's reflective of our brand. Of course, it's our marketing department, but it's reflective of you, because our brand gets us in the door, but they are investing in whoever's in front of them. And we all need to know marketing, because marketing is part of sales.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. New agent starts. What advice would you give a new agent getting off the ground today? Maybe they don't have a marketing background and they just don't know where to start. What kind of preliminary advice would you give a new agent starting today? Knowing that the market has changed a little bit, but overall marketing and branding is, it's overall general principles are still similar. What advice would you give them?
Well, any market can be a great market, right? The market's between here, right? So, and to be honest with you, when you start in a market that's more traditional, it might be an advantage, because you don't learn, I don't want to call them bad habits, but you don't learn like halfway of doing things. You have to really work to learn, right? Mm-hmm. So I know that Cathy and I deeply believe in structuring your week. So, I mean, obviously we don't have a hard time doing that now, because we have to fit a lot of stuff in. But I mean, if you're starting new, sometimes it's like, okay, well, it's great. It's this great job that you don't actually have to show up to it technically if you don't have an appointment, right? So, you got to create a perfect week, and you got to slot it in, and you need to make sure that you have an 8-hour day. Like Cathy said, we used to have 14, 15-hour days. And by the way, we weren't always doing deals. We were pounding the pavement, making calls, creating like business. We'd have to be like, okay, we probably shouldn't knock on people's door anymore. It's whatever time of night, right? Like, so create a schedule, commit to your schedule, be consistent, create your busy. Like, no one's going to do it for you. Train, learn, be open, be humble. Don't make your goals based on, like, of course, everyone, I'm sure people are like, oh, well, I want to make this much, but I want to sell this, average price home or whatever. Like Cathy talked about, like, it's funny. We've never judged anything, because an opportunity is an opportunity. I mean, I was just on the phone over the weekend with someone's mortgage broker, because I felt that they were quite honestly being neglected because of their price point. And here I am, and I'm not even really working directly with them. I just got myself involved there because, of course, that's what we do, right? We love it, like, And I said to them, I was like, hey, this person may not buy this year, they might not sell this year, but guess what? They're going to do it in the next couple of years. And you know what? By the way, they have immigrated and have worked their butt off for the last number of years, and they have a goal. And you know what? So that person doesn't deserve any less attention than anybody else, So don't judge things, because you can't judge a book by its cover.
And I think just from a marketing standpoint, specifically, if for a new agent getting in the business, I think, like Tanya mentioned, is humble yourself to learn from anyone that you see is doing a great job at something. Don't be afraid to ask them, right? Like, so, the top producers in your office, like they,
Mm-hmm.
everyone wants to help. Like they just ask for help. How did you do this? Any ideas? Like, don't be afraid to ask questions and be intuitive. And I think, inquisitive, I should say. And I think that, start small. Like even when you're marketing a client's home, like your first listing that you get, we always, we will come up with what we think are the key marketing features of the property. But hey, guess what? Your seller knows a lot about that home too, because maybe they lived there for 15, 20 years. They know a lot of key marketing pieces that you should be putting in your write-up too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure that you're learning about the appropriate tools, you're watching and seeing what other people are doing and who's having success with what. Go to them, ask them for help, ask for questions, educate yourself. And I would start smaller with trying to start smaller and then master as you go, right? Like I think that's really important, is to, your first listing, just master that in terms of the marketing standpoint, right? Do everything that's available to you and do it 110%. Amazing.
No, that's great advice. And I think that a lot of agents, when they see maybe another agent, or they see, maybe they're the top manager in the office, maybe they feel like, I don't want to bother them. I don't want to, I'll just kind of figure it out on my own. And the reality is they love to give advice. They just love it.
They,
The key is, when you ask the question, is to truly listen, write it down, and then take action on it. And then if you want a bonus point, circle back with them and let them know the results that you got from the advice that they gave you. And if you do that, you'll be like the 1%. Because I don't know about you guys, but if you ever give advice, it's very rare for somebody to circle back after and say, that advice you gave me, I implemented this and like, look at the results. Thank you. Then it's like, it's like, oh, I want to give you some more, because this is so rare that people actually action on it. Right. I find one
That's
of
so
the
true.
biggest mistakes I see with agents is you'll give advice to them, but then they'll go ask 3 other people and then take none of the advice,
mm-hmm.
or they'll tell you why it can't work for them, versus just saying thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what? It's funny because I think if when people started in the business, if they wrote down, the advice they got, and if they reflected on it, years later, well, they may know why they are where they are or not in the business.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I think it's Cathy and I, we deeply believe in forever learning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny when you said, you go back to that person, or you remember those things. And we tell our team all the time, and you can get busy, or you can become more of a senior agent, but forever learners are the best, because they're open to new ways. They're never too busy to help someone else, and you learn by helping, to your point, right? Like, and Cathy said, like, part of what we love to do is training our team, right? And we tell our team, you need to be at training if you've been in X amount of years or less in the business. But if you haven't, everyone should be there, because if you're senior in the business, you should be there, and you should be training through teaching.
Yeah. It's actually one of the best. Like for me, even doing this podcast, I find I'll do a solo episode once a week, and just the act of having to write it down and then teach it, I found it actually anchors in me even more. And even
Mm-hmm.
when I'm training the agents, it's like the more I speak on it, the more I get a better understanding of
Mm-hmm.
the
Yeah,
the principles that I'm teaching. And so
absolutely.
they say it's the highest form of learning, right? Is to teach. And the interesting thing is when you impart wisdom to somebody, it's like there's no limit to it. So if you give, you benefit, they get to benefit from that as well.
Yes.
And there's no cost. If anything, it's just it compounds the benefit. And that's really good insight
Beautiful.
there. So, okay, now we're in a market right now where real estate investing is a little bit more challenging. When a buyer comes to you today in your market, so you're in Burlington, so just outside of Toronto, what challenges are you seeing out there in the market when a real estate investor will call you and say, "Hey, listen, I'd like to invest in real estate." What are some of the challenges you're seeing on your side?
So they want to invest for like just as an investment or
That's
for
right.
them like their first home? Like is
Yeah,
it
so a secondary property outside of their
secondary
Oh,
property?
principal. Yeah.
Um, I would say the secondary properties, those buyers have definitely they're not as prevalent now as they were back in like last year when the rates went up. It definitely has made that buyer pool smaller.
Mhm.
Um, what we're seeing is a lot of buyers where they're helping their children get into the business,
Mm.
right? That's where we're seeing a lot of like secondary properties. And when I say their children, I mean they're the ones that are in their 20s or
Young
whatever,
adults,
right? So
yeah.
they're help. We're seeing that, and I think that's a big plus with how they're doing that. Like I think it's amazing that they're able to do that, and um, take their assets in such a way that they can provide an advantage to themselves because it's advantageous to themselves as well as to their children, right? And it's kind of helping build their legacy. It's a pretty beautiful thing. So we're seeing a lot of that happening. Um, in terms of investments in secondary properties, we're still seeing investors come in the market, but not so much of what I'm noticing is before we used to have a lot more, we would be competing a lot more with new builds. And now I'm finding that's not really like I don't feel the new build is our competition anymore. So when we do have people coming in the market as investors, a lot of the times they're looking for properties where they can rent out the basement as well, right?
Mm.
So we're looking for that opportunity where they can, they can have like two families, right? So we're looking for single family residential, but having that separate entrance, having the ability to be able to maybe put a family member in, the top and then get them to rent out the bottom type of thing, right? So I would say more for um, just for rentals from that aspect, right? That's mainly what I'm seeing. How about you, Tina?
yeah. I think investor can be a bit of a loose term because I think like the true investors, if there is a change in market, they find the opportunity, right? And condo market's a perfect example. Some of these new builds where there's tons of properties closing, and the true investors because they're not sweating it. They're just going to hang out. They're going to ride the wave, and or people that come in like a true investor isn't really shaken very much by anything because they're more in it for the long term gain, right? So, and there's opportunity, right? I mean, we're in a very traditionalized market. I mean, this time of year is a little bit more, it's acting more of a seller's market in particular areas just based on inventory levels. But the reality is that I think that to Cathy's point, we've seen, you know, everyone's an investor when the markets, when they perceive it as good, right? But then when things
Yeah.
change, you see the true investors, right? So that pool kind of, diminishes.
Hmm. Yeah, and that's interesting because that's generally the best time that you want to
Yeah.
be buying, right?
Mm-hmm.
When it's not
Yeah.
sexy time to buy.
Yes.
Um, it's
That's why
so
it's the true
interesting.
one, right? Yeah.
Yeah, how the prices drop or increase, say, by 30%. And then it's a matter of, okay, real estate's a good thing. All the friends and family are saying, go for it. It's great. It's wonderful. And, when the market drops 30% and everything's on sale,
It's
it's interesting how, and I guess that's what, Warren Buffett, his whole approach with, he buys based on value, but when markets go down, that's when he gets really
Of course.
aggressive with his buying. And I think that's, that is very relatable to real estate. That's great. All right, guys. Well, we are at the rapid fire part of the conversation here. So you guys ready for a couple, we'll say 3 quick questions, and I'm going to ask each of you guys. Each of you guys can answer for yourself. You guys ready?
okay.
Do it.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. So first question, I'll start with Cathy. What's your favorite book that's made the biggest impact in your business?
Oh my God. Um, Let me think. That's a tough one.
So many good books out there.
I think, what is the one? Never Sweat the Small Stuff. What is that one?
Yeah. I don't know don't ask me authors. I don't know anyone who sings songs,
Yeah,
but
I don't know the author,
I
but
love
I
the name.
remember that one. Never Sweat. Okay.
Okay. So never, yeah, by Richard Carlson.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't sweat the small stuff. Okay. Got it.
Not never. Don't sweat the small stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Perfect. All right, Tanya, how about yourself?
Oh my gosh, I don't know. I can't honestly tell you the one that's been most impactful, but the one I always think about is mindset.
Mindset. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one too.
Is
Yes.
there
I
a
love mindset.
podcast that you guys listen to other than Full Out Real Estate Agent from on Mark Faris? Is
No.
there a podcast that you guys, or are you just more
No.
so is
Audible
like
books.
Audible? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's good. I'm not sure if you guys heard about this. I teach the boys this, and something that's really helped me with reading is stack reading. So I'll buy the Audible book, I'll buy the physical book, and then I'll have a pen in my hand, and then I'll speed it up to like
Oh, cool.
5 to 1.7. And
Oh,
basically, I go and underline all the key points in the
Yes.
book. And then
that's
once I'm
smart.
done, I'll go back and pull out those key ideas, write them down, and then take action on, because one of the biggest things that I've seen with we'll say top producers, and you guys are actually right up there, it was when you learn something, you take quick action, like massive action on that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing that really helped extract. And actually it helped me retain a lot more because, you read a page sometimes and then you get distracted. You start thinking about that transaction that's going on behind closed doors is like, and you got to go back and reread the page that you read. Well, the stack reading approach, actually, it forces you to focus and it pulls you along
For sure.
through books faster. So,
The speed reading. I took a speed reading course when I was, I think, in high school. My dad got me to take a speed reading course, and it actually really helped me. It's similar to what you're saying in terms of just kind of pulling out from the paragraphs the key points, right?
yeah, smart man there for getting you doing that sooner in your life. That's great. All right. So, Cathy, what are 3 words that best describe you?
Integral, trustworthy, passionate.
That's good.
Oh, and maybe I should have put loyal in there too.
All
Did I
right,
take
you got 4 there. Go
real
ahead. Go ahead,
Sorry.
Tanya.
Oh, see, I go second. Everything's duplicated.
You can times 2.
It's the being the younger child. I always let her go first. She's big sister. I'd say passionate, loyal, and I'm bubbly.
Yeah, that's great. There you go. I'd like to have fun. Very good. All right. So then last question here. What advice, and we'll start with you, Cathy. What advice would you give? Actually, we're going to start with Tanya this time.
Okay.
Get ready, Tanya. Here it comes. What
Oh,
final
dear.
advice would you give a new agent starting out, or maybe just an agent that wants to take their business to the next level?
I would ask questions, listen, and act.
That's good. Cathy?
I would get very real with when I like dig deep and get real as to what do you really want to achieve and why. Become really clear on what your why is. And then once you understand your why, come up with your top 3 of what you want to, like, how the top 3 things of how you're going to do that.
The actions needed to accomplish that why. That's good. That's great. Yeah, if you do those 2 suggestions that you guys gave there on that, most agents will be very successful if they just do those 2 things. It's as simple as that, right? So, well, guys, this was great. Lots of great tidbits here, great pieces of information and advice from you guys. I really appreciate you guys coming on the show. Go ahead and share the areas that you guys service, and if agents are listening to the show here, if they want to refer you business, maybe it's a buyer or seller in your area. Maybe you could tell a little bit about the areas that you serve and then how they can best contact you.
We're basically west of Toronto, so obviously we have a team. So we have people that actually, live and service out Mississauga, Oakville, Burlington, Hamilton, and all like the outskirts surrounding area down to Niagara. If you want to reach out to us, you can call us or email us. You want me to give that information?
So what's your website that they can?
Oh, roccasisters.ca.
Perfect. You reach out to the Rocca Sisters if you're looking to send business out that way, and they'll take really great care of them. Well, guys, Cathy and Tanya, really appreciate you guys coming on the show. Really appreciate you guys. That was
we
great.
appreciate you, Mark. You're great.
So much, Mark.
Thank you so much. It's so good to see you.
You too, guys. Well, thanks for listening to the show. If you liked it, go ahead and subscribe to the channel where we are building a community of full-out real estate agents. And if you know anybody looking to move north of Toronto, so that's Barrie and surrounding area, from a referral standpoint, we are there to help as well. You can go to contact@faristeam.ca for email or faristeam.ca for a website. Reach out and we're more than happy to help. Love you guys and keep on going full out.